Hello, Virtual Doll Convention. We are here with our last live program of the day, and it is with the wonderful Michael Canadas, and it is called Maison Rohmer, A Family Affair. I personally have never seen this many Rohmers in one spot, and I am personally so excited about this program. So we are going to turn the camera around and get raging on these Rohmers. So Michael.
Hi, conventioners.
Hi. It has been so much fun today. Have you been having fun with the convention?
Been having fun. I absolutely have.
Great.
So it's been very enjoyable. And I've learned things today.
We learned a lot about Mary Lou.
Yes, and sewing.
And sewing.
Yes, sewing. We can always learn more about sewing.
Always. So Rohmers, they have wonderful sewing.
They do. We have done programs before on Rohmer dolls. I think we've done maybe one or two. This little group that we have here is really, in a way, it's phenomenal. There's a lot of areas that I can go into about this. Now, I know that people that read Doll News, I believe, Doll News, know that at one point that I promised to do a book on Rohmers. Now, we have enough material, photographic material, and I think we've handled enough Rohmers, we have enough body types and all that to do a book. But what we didn't have as a creative person, we didn't have the hook, the thing that now I've got it. And on this table is a doll that is going to make a book happen. And I will get into that, but I'm going to let you pan the table so they can see all the variety of the Rohmers that are here. This is just a tiny sampling of the products that they made. They made, thousands and thousands of items.
This is just remarkable.
Yes, it's something to see.
This is good because it's giving our viewers a chance to hop on the live feed. I know a lot of them have been so excited to experience this. We recently got a Rohmer in our shop, and man,
it's a wonderful one.
Yeah, and just to have one is just such a treat.
It is. Yeah, oh, no, totally.
Oh, I just love how you have them displayed, and then we have this petite one up here. How tall is she?
She's probably about 15 inches. And that's Fanny. And there is a video that if you go to Michael Canadas on YouTube, you can go to Michael Canadas and you can find a nice program on Fanny. I'm not going to really talk about her. She's just here because she didn't want to be left out.
Hanging out.
Yes. And that's a wonderful
Marvelous.
thing. So I think what I'm going to do is start as... I guess I'm assuming that everybody knows about Rohmer, but I don't think that they really do. So this is, or maybe they do, and I'm being redundant, but I'm going to tell you anyways. This Maison Rohmer, it's a family affair. I can now prove that. This was an international family, meaning that they were from Strasbourg in France, which is right on the border to Germany. So it would be like if I walked across the street, I'm France, and across the street is Germany. That's really how close it is. And with that, I think that they were bilingual, which if you grow up bilingual, you can learn more languages. At one point, the family moved to Russia, and they set up business in Russia. Then they moved back to France and Paris in the 1850s when it was all happening. And the mother of Leontine Rohmer, who's the person we have always assumed was responsible for the dolls, the mother of Leontine Rohmer was an accomplished children's dressmaker. So she was very, very talented. And about the time they were doing dressmaking, the doll boom happened. And Leontine Rohmer went to the Exposition Universelle, saw the Here dolls, and said, I can do that. Just like today we saw the Mary Lou program, which was inspired by so and so on. So it's all kind of organic and happening. So the doll business started. What is the difference between them and, say, the Hure company or say the Jumeau company at the time, it was a family stacked full of talented people. So you had the mother, who was an accomplished dressmaker for children. Then I'm sure that the father was very a good businessman. Then you had the two sisters, Fanny and Leontine, both talented, both go-getters. They happened to marry men who were engineers. So you have this like quadruple, isn't that a four? Didn't I say four? No, six? So 6 people involved in making dolls. And when you look at the dolls, it's very clear because, so I happen to have this naked girl. So this is one of their patents. And I have this so you can see. So look at how they achieved the articulation. You know, they figured that they used this grommet in the pate, very easy to put together, created articulation. This is very important at that time, articulation in a doll. Because this is in the 1850s, 60s. You know, it wasn't that long into the boom of the doll making. So the articulation, this, I believe, all of these things the husbands thought of. You know, and the wives, or just like Mattel, where Ruth Handler would say to her husband, you know, take this out and figure out what I want you to do. And that's what they did. So this is one of their earliest patents, is this moving head. Okay? So, but I want you to look. See, here we have the knees that were kind of a standard knee that had not changed that much. Okay, so here you have another Rohmer. And remember, Rohmers are marked. They're marked 2 ways. They're marked Maison Rohmer and Madame Rohmer. And then I'm going to have in our book, we're going to introduce a whole new group of dolls that have never been attributed to Rohmer, but we now have the documentation to prove that they were a product sold by the Rohmer company. So here you have the same concept of the upper arm, but this is a shoulder head, porcelain shoulder head, same articulation of the arms, wood, but here's the difference. It's got this bendable knee with the over knee underneath this. This is zinc. And it seems that the gentlemen like to work in metal and zinc because there's, even though the dolls are cuddly, there's a certain amount of metal in them. So this doll has the knees with a zinc over, well, I don't know what the thigh. So this is hard here, and then it becomes soft, easy movement. Then it has a wooden actual knee part. And then this was a little crazy invention that they thought of to hold the leg up so that the doll could sit.
Okay.
And it actually didn't really work. But, you know, kids have a lot of imagination, and probably shopkeepers did too, that this eventually would hold up the stockings. So that, you know, if you think about
that makes sense.
Yeah, because the only way it's going to hold up the knees is if the doll's nude. So
now, is that called a swivel neck or a cup and saucer?
No, this one is a shoulder head. And what I've kind of done in our career is you like to think of a shoulder head, say in Hure's, shoulder head is, there's a chronological order. With the Rohmers, there is no chronological order. I think if the client wanted it, they continued to produce it. They did not have a shop, so they depended on the buyers that did have shops to create it. Another thing I want to tell collectors too, so that they don't give themselves the big one, is unfortunately on this table I don't have an example of it, but it's absolutely okay to have a china head with bisque arms or a bisque head with china arms. They didn't seem to have a problem with mixing the parts. Now we're just lucky that all of them here have the same parts. Now for me as a collector, I don't care if I know that it was originally intended that way. So they had to, I think that they had things in their inventory where, say, the Hure company would be, we're only doing swivel heads. We're only doing this type of item. So you could say that the Hure company was Rolls-Royce, that's only making the Silver Shadow, and the Rohmer company was Mercedes-Benz. So we have many models. We have the $200,000 model, and we have the $30,000 model. And we do know that they prize that, which I will get to in this talk shortly, of how I know that's kind of true. So here you can, and then of course the beautiful painting of the faces, and they're character-like.
Just absolutely
Very sweet.
stunning. I'm seeing a lot of blue eyes. Were they always blue?
No. They could have, that's just the luck of the draw.
Luck of the draw.
They could have brown eyes too. Although the brown eyes are more, rarer. But they did have them.
Conventioneers, if you are here with us, give us a comment and let us know that you are here. We are having a wonderful Rohmer talk with Michael Kanatis here at the Grovian Doll Museum. One of our conventioneers just said, such wonderful coloring.
Well, they have beautiful coloring. So here you can see we've got all the items that are features that we just saw on the previous dolls, except this one is in bisque. It's got a very good body finish, good condition. It's had a couple of little patches here. And Rachel, you and I were talking about this earlier. The leather doesn't give out on these dolls. It's the stitches, it's the thread. So, if you look at them, here you can see this just needs a little repair, very simple little repair. They're stuffed with reindeer fur, so it doesn't actually come out. So it's not, the leather hasn't given away, it's the stitches. So I will go back when I have 10 minutes and I'll use a very fine needle.
We can have a workshop.
And I will go and I will use the actual sewing hole that the ladies put in it. But what's interesting about this doll is that, okay, it's all in bisque, but it doesn't have its paint on. And the reason it doesn't have its paint on is this one had the same head mechanism as this, except they just used a piece of leather that went from the neck into the head. Well, the leather, it did not hold up. So right now I have her just together with a piece of tape. So I'm gonna redo the leather, but I'm gonna put besides the leather a string. So they must have decided one day, hey, we're out of grommets, we're just gonna use a piece of leather. Because when the doll would have a wig on, that would keep it strong. But I do want you to see the beautiful painting of the bisque. And this is a lovely little size doll. And here she's got her straight things with the little hooks, and it's just in silk.
They're just wonderful.
And then here's what's so crazy about it. So here, you've got stuffed legs, stuffed legs, stuffed legs. Then you've got another stuffed leg with completely covered in leather. So they did a lot of, there's a variety of dolls.
There is such a variety.
Of bodies. You could just collect the body.
Right. So are the dolls that have the china legs more valuable or rare than the leather?
I don't know that they're rare. Here, I'm going to make the statement, and the people can comment and disagree with me, and I don't really care. They're all rare.
They are.
So if you're what I think when I see the china legs, which she has china legs, and she has china legs. Okay, when I think of the china legs, and let me think, I forgot about her. No, hers are soft. This is just a little more deluxe. So of course it's more valuable.
Well, and it's more fragile.
And if their legs got broken, in 1865, they might have thrown it out. So they are not. But the fact of the matter is,
they're all rare. Yep.
They're all rare.
I don't think anybody is going to disagree with that.
No. And then speaking of rare bodies, and because here we have this wonderful girl here, which she has the same body as this nudie here. So if you look at them, they're basically the same, just a little different size. Well, about the same size actually. But here you've got, what a great study group that is. Same head, painted eyes.
Completely
Glass
different
eyes.
looking faces. Michael, do you have a preference on painted or glass?
No.
Just personally?
No, I don't. I like both. I have to tell you though, I love painted eyes when they're beautifully done.
Right.
But I actually don't have a preference. So it just depends on, and also too with me, it's a lot of things. It's not going to be, well, I mean, if I had a doll and I did not like the face and I didn't like the doll's personality, that kind of does it. But it has to be for me and David more than just that. It has to be the face, it's the face, the presentation, and the body in that order for us.
The stamp on this body is beautiful.
Yes, that doll is in remarkable condition. And I'm going to get to her because there's the reason for the method for my madness. Now this one is actually in the shop, and for the convention, and if I hadn't been so naughty lately, this would be our doll, because this is a zinc-bodied Rohmer. And do you hear that? Mm-hmm. I mean, it's metal. I mean, this girl was built to last. And the Rohmer company and the Hire company got in a dispute over this body. And the Hire sisters sued the Rohmer sisters, or Leontine Rohmer, and they won. Because it was a patent infringement on their patent. At the time, in France, the police or the IRS can go into your house anytime. And they raided their house, and in the house, they found 2 zinc-bodied dolls in their inventory. So think about it. The people that made these dolls had at the time 2 dolls in their stock. They were taken and put into evidence. Now here's the thing, as someone who's handled Hires and someone who's handled Rohmers, and the bodies are similar in the sense that they're the human body with articulation, but they are not alike. It might have been, there might have been some prejudice in, the Hire people were quite grand at that time, that their father had been the lockmaker to the king, and then these country people come along. Although that being said, they weren't country people in the sense of that. So this is a really rare doll, and it's got the glass eyes, and the beautifully painted, wonderful piece.
I have a question.
Yes,
well,
sure.
Because I'm looking at her face, and her face looks a lot different from this one, that one, and that one. These faces all have similarities. Hers is very different.
I think it's because of the eyes, it's because of the painting, and it's also because the market trend has changed. So we've changed. I know that you're going to go on to doing great things, Rachel, but you got to change with the times, with what people are interested in.
Okay.
Or you have to give them what they didn't know they wanted.
Okay.
So that's what this is about, and it's broadening their base. But if you actually really look at it, you can see the family resemblance.
How much
It's
later
there.
is this face than?
Maybe 5 years.
Oh, 5 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you know what? In retail, things change fast.
Absolutely.
So you can't do what you've always done. You want to have the quality that you've always had, or the style that you've always had. But you have to. So they were really. This company has not been given the credit that they deserve. I mean, I've read some of the most unbelievably scandalous things written about them, and it's just it's not based on anything except prejudice. And I will go into that in a second. So this is your zinc-bodied doll, which if you are a body collector, I mean, it's a lovely head. It's a beautiful head. But if you're a body collector, this is a fabulous body.
And this one is in your virtual convention room?
It is.
Okay, so this is for sale in Michael's
is.
booth.
Yeah.
If you would like to
I mean,
snap up a Rohmer today.
I would love to write up a sale for it, but you know what? I'll live if I don't.
She can stick around.
Yes. So then the next, and then let's go over here before we move on. This is the clothes for this doll. And this is what I mean by they're not given the credit that they deserve. And they're going to take it. Look at this little dress. There is no way that this would ever fit a Hire because they're 17 and a half, 18 inches tall. This is her size. This could be sold, if you could make this bigger, this could be sold as a Hire quality piece.
Absolutely.
It has, but here's the thing. I've never seen this. This used in this tool used in this way. When you look at it, this is so much. There's so much creativity and style, and then look at the beautiful, simple stitches. The ladies all work together, and I would imagine the mother, who was a children, that she was the designer. And the reason I say that is, you know, these are not one-ups. If you've been lucky like we have in our career, you've handled a lot of things, and you start to see them again. Like this suit, quite a few years ago, we had this same suit. The odds of having two in a lifetime means that there was more than one made. They were ready to wear pieces. And earlier in the sewing workshop,
Oh, I just love this.
Here's something that I have never seen before. They've taken this bobbin lace, sewn it together, created a fabric out of the bobbin lace, and made this absolutely outstanding little blouse. I mean, this is not anything except top-notch work and creativity.
And very delicate. That's just hard to do.
I've got, you know, tons and tons of bobbin lace that we hardly ever use it. Well, now I have a new plan. We'll just sit and sew it together and then make this beautiful, delicate fabric. So that's the creativity that they had. And of course, in the 1860s, shawls from Cashmere shawls were all the rage, and there were a lot of very highly prized. So look at what they've used fabric from cashmere and created this little coat. This is a coat. This, even though it looks big and a lot of people don't realize, this would go over the crinoline, so the dress like that, and it would lay perfectly.
It almost has a chinoiserie look.
It does, because it's got, well, Anglo, I guess the part would be called, not Anglo, but, well, Anglo-Indian. You know, the British were colonizing that. And again, another wonderful little blouse, beautifully done. And then this is a color that they favored.
Oh, I love this.
This kind of pumpkin color. Beautiful. And again, beautiful blonde lace, beautiful ribbons.
This is just
And
delicious.
Then, of course, the family was from Alsace-Lorraine. So here you have your provincial costume. I'm not sure if it's Alsace-Lorraine, but most likely it is. And that's something that I'm going to be working on in the future. I think that education is so important. We had in our club an outside speaker that came and talked to us about provincial costumes. I learned so much. Like, I did not know that before the French Revolution that the peasant folk were not allowed to wear lace and brocades, and of course they couldn't afford it, but they weren't by law allowed to wear it. And then after the Revolution, there was this explosion of these provincial costumes. In each area, each town created their own piece. But I would imagine, and someone who knows will correct me, that this is most likely a costume from Alsace-Lorraine.
It certainly looks like it to me.
After the Franco-Prussian War, which Germany took over Alsace-Lorraine, and it took until World War I for France to get it back, the Rohmer family was very heavily involved in humanitarian rescues and helping people, the people that were, invaded by the Germans. And so they were very involved in it. So I would imagine that my guess is pretty good, because this would be very patriotic. It'd be like me waving the California flag, you know? And then, of course,
This bonnet I have
Beautiful
been
bonnet.
eyeing the entire program.
A darling little bonnet.
Look at that, everybody.
Yes. And then we've got this beautiful, I always love my tartan wares, and the Empress of France was from half Scottish, so tartan wear became all the rage. But they just did this little extra bit with this zigzagged ribbon.
And the matching, it's just everywhere.
And the little
it's
matching
just
tam.
beautiful.
And then here we have this, that those of you who sew and follow the doll Blondinette, we have to wonder, who thought of this first? Did the Here company think of it, or did the Rohmer company think of it? This skirt. But what's nice is she's got the skirt and she's got the matching little Figaro jacket to go with it. So this is a nice little package of a wonderful doll. And then she's got wonderful little bits and pieces of.
It's nice to see this box label.
Yes, that's always. And again, the green we associate
very
with Here,
Here.
but it was just also a very popular color at the time. So we're going to move on from her. So we've talked about her. We've talked about her, and her. She's here. This is a really outstanding doll. And this was bought for our inventory for sale, and it is sold already. But I just thought it was a gorgeous face of a doll and a beautiful size. And it's very similar to the one you have, isn't it?
It's so similar to the one we have.
So you can't buy this one, but you could buy Rachel's. And she's got the bisque legs too. But the difference between this and most dolls, I had never seen this part of the mechanism before. I'd never seen it. So in the upper leg, there's a ball, and this has got a zinc lining. And then it's soft here, and then more zinc, and then underneath zinc. These people were amazing of the engineering. This is not rinky-dinked up. This is highly thought out. So I have, in my career, we've had a lot of them, and if anyone wants to refer back to, you know what, Rachel, I will give you, for your attendees, the PDF of our Rohmer article.
Oh, we'd love
because
that.
That will show them the incredible, the breadth of the body styles. It's just mind-blowing. So for me to say I've never seen something is kind of unusual, because we've been fortunate to handle a lot of things until this doll. So until this, I've never seen this doll before, this body, until this doll. And this is the second time I'd seen it. Now the difference between these two is the face is different because they're a slightly different size. This body is in really remarkable condition. Her body has been played with, probably had a little bit of chewing from a child. But this is really our treasure chest of, this is the Rohmer for us to end all Rohmers. Because in 1861, a little girl was born to Marie Antoinette Leontine Rohmer. And her name was Matilda. And this is her doll. So, this has been with the family since that time. She died in 1957. So this doll was stored until very recently. And a good friend of ours in France purchased it. And they knew that it would be right up our alley. And they purchased it from the descendants of the Rohmer family. And they're very happy-go-lucky, fun-loving people, which is what you think of someone from Alsace-Lorraine. So what was really great about it was the doll, all of the things, but with it, we received all of the family's genealogy, all of their personal paperwork having to do with their business, and the history of Mathilde. So she died in 1957. This was a really good family. And in 1931, this little girl won the Legion of Honor. That is like in America, the equivalent to the Presidential Medal of Freedom. It's a big, big deal. So what I got out of this is, and I'm not ready to share this with anybody yet, but I can see the whole family. We have photographs of the whole family, the Fanny and her sister, their husbands, their mother, the father, and Matilda.
How wonderful.
Yes.
Now, Michael, this hat, I just have to say, is very similar to
the chapeau niçoise.
It's the same, so there's two.
There's two.
Wow.
Well, I mean, the other, if you notice, the other one had more of these little.
So they all look like
X's.
this.
Yeah, I mean, this would be like in the 1960s a pillbox.
Okay.
You know, that they would, it's a standard garment.
It's a standard garment. It's
So
very distinctive.
What I take out of this is that these are the Rohmers items. This is the work that they did. There's no question about it. And it was outstanding. Not only is it outstanding workmanship, the styling. Look at this. Look at this dress. I mean, I would never think of this, but I look at it and I think this is genius. And what I also realized too is they loved primary colors. They loved red, blue, royal blue, purple, all the colors that, not the super, super feminine, although there's a couple of things that are kind of, pastels. But look at this. Look at these cuffs.
Oh, those are marvelous.
These are,
look at that.
Rose Percy has cuffs like this, but these are half scale compared to hers. Beautiful workmanship. And what I've learned from what I can translate out of the stack of papers, it's about this big, and we are going to have it translated. I've picked up little bits, and so that it's true that the husbands worked in the family. They were the tinkers, making, creating parts and pieces. The ladies worked in the design, manufacture of the clothing. The 90% of the stitching on the dolls is done by hand, so they probably did that too. Mathilde probably also did her share, because the children learned to work early there at that time. What I do know is that she had two dolls. So she had this doll and she had a smaller one. And the reason I know she had a smaller Rohmer, and she's a Rohmer and they're Rohmers, is because we have a photograph of her with it.
How wonderful.
So this is finally the hook for our book, because this is the doll. Because it's given us information that other people did not have.
Is this for sale in the virtual convention?
No.
Oh. Well, we had to ask.
No. I don't. It would mess up my whole book. And I think that it would be here for people to enjoy and see in the future. And by the way, this program is only going to be for the virtual convention. You can't get this anywhere else.
No, and we're so grateful.
Because I'm not showing this again until it's time for a book.
It's very exclusive. So exclusive. I just have to, this is just.
And then look at all this. This is all hand done. That's all handwork. That is not, now there's, by Tuesday, this will probably be up on the internet, done by machine, and be sold as kits. But this is all hand done.
That's just remarkable.
And what's really interesting is this was her play doll, but it has, she's got her nice little party dress here, but it has a lot of practicality. The coats and things. This is very practical. I mean, we were in Paris in November, and guess what? It gets cold in November, December. And then look at this piece. Just fantastic. I mean, with a few alterations, Rachel, this could be made into something for you to wear. I mean, it's just classic, beautifully lined and stunning. Oh, and let me show you this, because this is something I had not seen anything quite like it. But before I do that, I'll show you practical. This is practical. This is a work apron. So Mathilde worked, and her doll worked. This is a form of like denim, the only difference is denim. We think of denim as being painted blue, but denim originates from France. So this is basically this is for her to work.
It's darling.
Yeah, and here she's in her beach costume.
Look at this.
And then this.
Wow.
This is her coat. Look at the size of the sleeves. And you look at that coat. That would go over a crinoline. So it would, so that she could wear it just right over her crinoline. And very, very clever how they've used ropes and little chenille knots and these little tiny gathered pleats. I mean, it's really a masterwork of design.
And the color is just so vibrant.
And then these frogs, buttons, beautiful buttons. But this is what also I think is enchanting. Okay, so we know Mathilde lived a long life. And, the doll was put away, and then she probably had times where she felt nostalgia for her dolls. And in France, they do have a problem with moths. So she probably had some moth damage. But look at how lovingly that is mended. And little girls learned how to do that, how to mend things. Because we have a sewing instruction book on French 19th century sewing. And one of the things they teach you besides stitches was how to mend things. So to me, this is like you can see her hand in it. And of course, she has a beautiful cap. Just wonderful piece.
Oh, I love that.
Yes.
So delicate.
So delicate. And then when we finally do have our book, you'll see the Rohmer ladies sitting in their beautiful dresses with their beautiful caps and bonnets. Very, very elegant. And then that is all crochet work there with the little lace edging. That's all crocheted. Just
miraculous.
And it's tiny. That's basically threads. And then her work basket, which I think is just
that. It looks
so
very.
You can see there's still a needle in it.
Curé.
It does look curé, but you know what? That needle, I will bet you, that is a needle that the Rohmer ladies themselves. Oh yeah, because they're so sharp. We don't get. I would imagine if you make needles and they were this sharp today, you'd be sued because someone would hurt themselves with it. So that is a needle that again, I haven't had actually that much time to spend with this doll. I mean, I knew it, I got it, it's been here, but since you're coming, it was kind of put aside and other things happen. And then her blanket roll for
the blanket roll.
Yeah, that's actually.
Or picnics.
Yeah, a picnic. That's a pretty big one. Most of them are not that big. And then a little bonnet, just beautiful. And again, look at the choice of, I don't know if I went to a fabric store that I would pick this, but I think it's stunning to see this, to learn, because this to me looks like this could be from the 1960s, not the 1860s, but it's chic and it's avant-garde. A beautiful little piece. And then, of course, when you see a box like this, the first thing you do is, oh, I've got to see if it's marked Curé, but it's not.
Is it marked Rohmer?
No. I mean, she does have, her trunk is marked. So that's marked. But but there are pieces that are marked. So don't move because we lost it. And then here's a little pillbox hat.
Oh, look at that.
So you've got the coral.
Darling.
Actually, it makes me wonder that at some point she might have had a silk that she's lost, because that almost looks more for her ensemble than hers. But this is hers, and of course she's much smaller, so wouldn't even ever consider. And then they probably did not knit these, but they probably had at-home workers that did knitting for them, because these are hand knitted. Some doll stockings are made; they're machine made, but these are hand knitted.
They're wonderful.
And then look at this, very much a status symbol. is this
Hanky. Look
hanky,
at that.
but it's all embroidered with this beautiful work. Just wonderful. And this wouldn't be something you would put in the pocket of your jogging suit. This is something that you would wear as a out where people could see how beautiful it was. It's just a stunning piece.
Oh, I just love it. I love it all.
It was really a wonderful thing to think that 1957 was a long time ago, and for this to kind of remain and wait. Oh, there's a marked box.
Yeah, love that.
To wait for the right time for it to come along, because this is going to be a book, not just her, but she'll be the featured item in the book, but we now have the thing that nobody else had. And I mean, just to find today, I went and read, oh my God, someone winning the Legion of Honor. That's a outstanding achievement for a woman in 1931. And by that time, she was quite a bit older, so that I don't, and I'm gonna have to find out what she did to deserve it. And then I really realized, what is success? So, the bill of sales that we've all been sold lately, or tried to be sold, is that the Hire Company was so much better and finer, and I'm not knocking them because they are all that. But the Rohmer Company is all that too, but more, because now I have evidence of the love of your family. That is way more important than whether we like a dress or we like a doll. That is really when you've lived your life right, and their life's work is all here on the table for everyone to see. And you can see that, look at that.
Much.
That is a high standard devotional stitching in this. This is a seaside costume. I mean, just to wear to the seaside. It's beachwear.
It's beachwear. It's beachwear.
And then look at this. These could have been, because Mathilde would have had as a child, she would have had the skill. She could have made these. This would be the job that you'd give an 8-year-old or 7-year-old or a 10-year-old at the time, to sit and crochet these. And these both I have. Matter of fact, I think that Fanny has one of those, just like, at least very close to this color combination. So collectors, stop crocheting Afghans. Start making little capelets for your dolls, because they need them.
It adds a fun little element of texture and just color.
Yeah, and charm. And charm.
Inexpensive to do. We didn't look at this cape, which I think is just
isn't this something
marvelous? Yes.
I mean, this kind of blows my mind, because it's almost it's on a cotton wool blend. They did that then, and they do it now too. But it's ribbon work, but it almost reminds me of like coral. It's like a coral design. It's random, but yet, you know what? Again, this is like something. You have the Dior exhibit. This is something. This could be an evening gown by, the concept of it by Dior, beautifully lined. Very luxurious. We were talking earlier. Look at that, just three. They were stingy with these items because you didn't need it, and those cost money. Materials were expensive in this era. Labor was cheap. So
now it's kind of the other way around.
Now it's the other way around. Exactly. And then let's look at these little caplets. Aren't those darling? Just simple little things that you put, and basically the same color but different trim, or it's the same fabric but different trims. And then there's this wonderful cape, a wonderful silk with a little check plaid, And again, 3 buttons, beautifully done. It looks wonderful on her.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah. And here, I was talking
tassels are
earlier
great.
about the stocking having little moth problems. So this had gotten hit too by the moths. Might have been later. Now, a lot of people would have a problem. This to me means it's genuine. If someone's going to make a remake to sell, on the internet or wherever, they're not going to use a piece that has moth holes. So this is a wonderful piece, beautiful. It's all chalet wool, and obviously, if I didn't have white tissue paper in it, wouldn't look as so distracting. But and there are people that can repair this. And I do probably, I know I have some chalet wool, and I'll probably just do a little backing to it and then do a couple little stitches just here. I'm not going to this is a 150-year-old doll. You have to expect that.
With her original wardrobe,
yeah.
it's in remarkable condition.
It is. And I imagine that she played with it. Nothing's been curated. Like I noticed here, I'm missing 3 buttons. So I will replace those with something, very important, beautiful buttons, and I'll kind of follow what I see here, and I'll make my choice off of something that they would use, something they would use.
We're just getting in so our viewers can see this. Becky Orant just tuned in.
Hi, Becky.
We have tons of people across the globe tuning in. I know they've been looking so forward to this presentation. It's just remarkable to see these dolls lounging about.
Well, they do that sometimes.
They work hard.
Sometimes when I can't find stands, then I think, oh, well, they can just lay down.
And it's such a fun way to display them.
Well, it gives it a little playfulness.
Right.
And, but this is an area that too, I think that in collecting so this is a doll that there's room to grow. And then when we do our book, because we got that one little thing where the family saved little bits of information, we have a whole nother group that have never been attributed to Rohmer that now are going in their column. And it's because of this doll that's happening.
Wonderful.
Which, I think we all like to know that if we can find that out. I should show you without her hat.
Yeah, this is different. She's got different hair than all of the other ones.
Yeah. And
this kid skin wig.
This is her second wig.
Okay.
So she's got her first wig, and she has the same mechanism as the other girls.
Oh, I actually kind of like it. Just her little hair that's left over.
I know how she feels. If I could go and have something like that, I would. Could you imagine if I went to the UFDC convention with this?
Well, last year you were bald, so this time if you had one of those on, it would. These dolls are just.
I didn't know so many people carried them up my head.
Well.
And then look at this one. We forgot this one.
Look at that
one. All wired and buckram, and let's try.
Just got a wonderful.
I haven't done this, so. Look at how that fits.
Look at that. We're going to go over so you guys can see the top.
Isn't that chic? It's kind of a modified Mary Stuart bonnet. It's not quite a Mary Stuart bonnet, but it's modified. But look at how it's got this here. It's almost like a band in it. And the silk it's like a silk file, and it's pulled. This is really where you can see hats. I think are an area that you can see people's creativity. You can really see if they're just a technician. A technician can make a dress. If they have something to look at, and hats is where you can really see someone's really artistic abilities. And I think I'm right, because some of the greatest designers of the 20th century started out in millinery and then went from millinery to clothing and had triumphant careers. So there's something to hat making that
Absolutely.
Not everyone can do this. Oh, and then, you know, they always loved the Russian look. And that's very Russian. And you'll find a lot of Rohmers with hats and things like this.
Oh, it's so cozy.
Yes, you know, and I think they didn't have a bad experience. I mean, I'm going to have to wait and read my telenovela that's this thick. That I don't think that they had a bad experience in Russia. I think it was probably a great experience for them. But they totally took advantage of Napoleon III's boom time in Paris. And they were there and they were part of it, part of the history of the golden age of French dolls. So, you know, in the near future, don't ask me when, you will be seeing a book.
They've already asked about 15 times on the video, Michael.
Don't ask too much because I can only do so much to David's heart at a time.
Right. Well, you guys have just...
Although, you know, that he does agree that this is the moment. And if we would have done it a year ago or 2 years ago or 3 years ago, whenever people were really pressuring us, we wouldn't have had this. So, you know, now's the time for that to happen. So we will be getting on it.
Well, when I came in here last night, I saw this wonderful display and I said, Michael, you are the only person that I know that can make it rain Rohmers.
Well, I don't think that this is not a common occurrence.
It's very special.
It was just the stars aligned right that this happened, because it's actually been for a while for us as sellers, because we have our main business is our buying and selling of dolls, and our hobby and pleasure is the museum, because, you know, anybody who has ever thought they were going to make a living off of owning a museum was crazy or is crazy. You do it because you love it. You know, we've been maybe lucky to get one Rohmer a year, or maybe, I think there's a couple of years we didn't have any. So they are a commodity, you know, and
absolutely.
And I think if you have one or you want one, you know, you do, it's just the way it is, you know, and I don't see that that's going to get better, because there's only so much material. That's all there is. And I think a lot of people forget, it's like, oh, there's, you know, less people collecting. That is not true. There are more people collecting with less product, because things happen, you know, natural things happen. You know, in California, 130,000 homes were lost. And some of those homes were collections, tragically. And so there's less material. So, I mean, I think that they need to be prized.
They are absolutely prized, Michael. We have so many people tuning in from across the world that have left comments. They are just in awe. They have enjoyed this presentation so very much. We are just so lucky and thankful that you put this together and had it in time for our virtual convention. It's just such a treat.
Well, I knew for a while. I just didn't tell you.
You always have an element of surprise, and we love that.
And you know what? I'm going to just say this publicly. We want to support Rachel Hoffman and what she's doing, because this hobby is not dead like some people like to say it is. Some areas of the hobby are going down the tubes, and that's because they're doing the same thing that they did in 1975. That was great in 1975. It doesn't work now. I mean, we are delighted by the amount of young people that have contacted us, and we have helped by Rachel helping us, she's helped us to meet these young people, to get them on board, to make this accessible. And this is totally Rachel's idea. It has nothing to do with us, so nobody give us any credit for that. This is all Rachel, and we need to support her. So you that are watching this tonight, that have registered for this convention, go back to your clubs, organizations, and say, you know, you got to get on this. Because this is actually a fabulous value, because if they're on this, there's nothing to stop them from putting any program we've done on their television and showing, having watch parties. So I think that this is something that really, Rachel is the shining star.
Oh, Michael, thank you so much. Well,
no
you're,
question.
I shine
we
because
want to support you.
you're so sweet. Thank you so much.
Even if we're dog tired, we'll do it.
And you got here at 8 a.m. and picked us and dropped us off at
Another thing
11
about
p.m.
that, Rachel, I don't do virtual conventions that start before 11, just so you know in the future. but I'll do it for you. But no, I don't like. I don't like to be.
You like to fall into your morning. We know that. No, this has just been incredible. And I was said on a live feed earlier that could I have a virtual convention somewhere else? Yes. Would I want to? Absolutely not.
Well, you could certainly. I think you could have a virtual convention in a lot of wonderful places.
Would I want to? Absolutely not.
I'm not gonna tell them what I know because I've got a little inside information, and I'll be the first to sign up. I'll lead the charge.
No, it's always just such a magical experience. It's just such a privilege to be here and to bring in hundreds of people from across the world that are tuning in right now. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Good night, virtual attendees.
And we'll see everybody tomorrow. We'll see you
Bye-bye.
bright and early. Bye-bye.